All right, let's move on to question number 76. And the correct answer is forcing. It's pretty evident. And the guy says the client tells Rekha that he doesn't care what was in the original scope, just get it done, right? So that's forcing. Confronting, withdrawal, and smoothing. Withdrawal means, okay, I don't want to talk about it. Let's not discuss this. That's called withdrawal. Smoothing is trying to fool the other person, trying to just tell them, okay, this is the areas of commonality. But other than that, you're not solving the conflict. And confronting is actually one of the best ways to solve a conflict. It is also known as problem solving or collaborating. But none of these are happening here. And this is exactly what we call as forcing. All right, question number 77. And you can actually put this uh, question, I mean, this particular question of this video on pause for you to calculate and then come back to it and see if your answer matches mine. And the correct answer is 60,000. How did we come to this, right? So let's look at this question again. The project was estimated to cost 100,000 with a timeline of 5 months due to certain atypical causes. Atypical means those kind of causes which are not going to happen again. You can simply call it one-off cases. The schedule was delayed. At the end of the third month, the project manager reviews the project and finds that the project is 40% complete and actual cost are 60,000. The estimate to complete for the project would now be, now when you say estimate to complete, which is ETC, it means the forecasted completion for the project, which is the rest of the project, which you have not worked on. Remember, EAC, estimated at completion, is the forecast for the entire project, including the part that you've already completed. But when it comes to ETC, it is only the rest of the part. Now, let's take a step back and let me ask you a question. Do you guys remember that EAC has to be calculated in three different scenarios, right? One of those scenarios is to calculate the EAC when there is a when you have a delay or any kind of a thing, a variance because of a one-off circumstance or a atypical cause. Which kind of formula do you use? Do you remember that? Well, the formula that you use is basically EAC is equal to AC plus BAC minus EV. BAC minus EV is the rest of the plan. See, there's nothing wrong with your plan. There's nothing wrong with your execution. This, whatever is the delay or cost variance, is only because of that atypical reason. That means after this, you'll be back as per the plan. BAC represents your entire plan. And from that, you'll deduct EV, which represents the part that you've completed, but from the planned portion. That means the rest of the plan. But if you look at it, if BAC minus EV is your rest of the plan, rest of the plan, and it's also the forecast for the rest of the project, well, then in that case, BAC minus EV also can be called as ETC. In this case, when the situation is atypical, when this whatever the reason is for the delay is not going to happen again, we will call it ETC. It will not be BAC minus EV, will not always be the ETC, but in this case, it is the ETC because this is the rest of the project. Because for the rest of the project, you will be as per the rest of the plan. And therefore, if your BAC was 100,000 and you've already spent 40, I mean, your EV is 40,000, which is 40%. Let's look at the question again. This is 40% of the work has been done. So what is the definition of EV? Planned cost for actual work done. Now, actual work done is 40%, but the planned cost is 100,000 for the entire project. So 40% of this will give you EV. And that's exactly what we've done here. So 100,000 minus 40,000 gives you 60,000, and that's the answer. So the questions are not very difficult. If you've attended my sessions and if you've gone through it carefully, you would actually get to these answers easier because the way we explain earned value management, it actually, no matter how the questions come, no matter how complex or complicated they try to make it, since you know the entire calculations, it's much easier, right? So you should know the basic, the logic behind calculations, and suddenly you answer questions like crazy. This is very easy, right? Okay. In case you're looking for a course, an examination readiness course, which is going to get you ready in just under 16 hours to ace PMP exam. Does a course like that exist? Yes, it does. Well, all you have to do is type pmvideo.pm-pulse.com. That's my site for PM videos, and over here you have a few PMP 2021 related videos. The very first one is PMP Dash. PMP Dash for acing PMP 2021. When you come to this particular landing page, you have a video which will give you an introduction to entire PMP Dash. It also contains certain things which are there in PMP Dash. There'll be samples of what's contained inside. You can make an informed decision. The best thing is it gets you ready in just 16 hours. It contains every aspect of what's going to be covered in the PMP exam. Not only that, it has also 180 questions, full examination set guided by me. In case you're looking for a course which will get you ready for PMP exam in a very short period of time, and not only that, it'll help you ace it. Well, this is the course. Let's continue on to question number 78. And the correct answer is project integration management. When we talk about project management knowledge area, basically we're talking about knowledge area. And what is it that we're talking about? Involves all activities in a step-by-step manner to satisfy various completion and exit criteria for the project, right? So we are talking about the entire project, from project charter to closure and everything in between, and that's in which particular knowledge area, and that is project integration management. Perfect. Okay, let's move on to question number 79. And the correct answer is obviously C. Stakeholder identification is a continuous process and needs to happen all through the project. I think somewhere earlier in one of the sets, or maybe this set somewhere, I explained this for a different question, of course. That stakeholder is identification is best done at the beginning of the project, but then throughout the project, we need to understand, hey, what has changed? Of course, you don't do it at the end of every phase. It's not a part of the phase end review. But if anything changes in the project, we need to figure out, okay, this change, how does it affect the stakeholders? How do they change? Do we have new stakeholders? So that's the reason why we spend a lot of time identifying the stakeholders in the beginning of the project, but then that's not the only time why? We actually go through the entire project looking at the places where we need to conduct it. That's why we call it the continuous process. If you look at all the other options, they are not correct. For example, stakeholder identification is usually performed when there are problems with the project. Absolutely incorrect. Stakeholder identification needs to happen at the start of each new phase of the project. As I said, it has nothing to do with phase end reviews or the phase beginning reviews for that matter. So this is also not correct. D, stakeholder identification needs to happen at the start of the project. Yes, but that's not the only time. So this is a much better answer. Alrighty, let's continue on to question number 80. And the correct answer is B, process analysis. We also call it value stream mapping, right? So, for example, I'm basically a professional process reengineering professional. So I re-engineer or basically optimize processes for quite a few companies. Now, what I do is I actually look at value stream mapping. What do I do? Which is the same as process analysis. We just look at when you actually map the entire process and we time map it, we actually become to know that which are the idle points and which are the places where we are actually working. And then we focus on how do we reduce the idle time, which is basically the non-value added activities. So how do we do that? It is also one of the major tools and techniques for lean management, right? So now you know, and that's the answer. Nothing else will do. All right.